The number one difference between a natty and an enhanced lifter is the recovery speed. So if you're not really maximizing your recovery as a natural lifter, you're leaving way too many gains on the table and you'll never get as big as you want. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the four main things that I personally do myself to maximize my recovery and how to get as jacked as possible. So let's get started. First, let's talk about protein. If you're not having enough protein, you will never ever feel recovered because your muscles don't have the ingredients to become stronger. And if you try to progressively overload, you will one either try ego lifting and just create unnecessary muscle damage with no extra advantage because your muscles aren't recovering, or two, just injure yourself. So having more protein is the number one thing when it comes to recovery. 1 gram per pound of body weight or 2 grams per kilogram of body weight is the ideal amount of protein that I would recommend you all to have. It's as simple as that, bro. I mean, having more protein is the most simplest and the straightforward and the most basic thing you can do to maximize your gains. I still don't understand how come so many of you all end up under eating protein. I mean, do you still not understand the importance of protein, bro? Protein timing really doesn't matter as much as hitting your daily protein goal, but I would still advise you to have majority of your protein after your workout because that's when your muscles need it the most, and that's when your muscles will probably end up absorbing more of the protein since they've broken down during your workout. That was it for protein. I'm not going to spend any more time discussing this topic because I'm assuming most of you all already know how important protein is. Moving on to the next point is going to be carbs. And yes, this might not sound conventional, like what do you mean carbs for recovery? Like, I mean carbs immediately after your workout. You see, when you finish working out, all your muscular glycogen has been depleted during your workout, and as a part of recovery, refilling these lost glycogen reserves is one of the most important things. That basically means the faster you fill up these lost glycogen reserves, the faster you end up recovering and the more efficient your next workout will be. Some research suggests that after 30 minutes of completing your workout, your body's ability to create glycogen from the carbohydrates that you consume reduces by 50%. In simple words, that basically means if you don't have carbohydrates immediately after your workout, that's like 30 minutes after your workout, your body will end up refilling your glycogen reserves 50% slower. And that, in my opinion, is a huge difference. Like, if you recover 50% faster, that's a really big deal. Plus, if you have any sort of sweet cravings or sweet tooth, then post workout is probably going to be the best time to have it because that's when your body will most likely store it as intramuscular glycogen and not as fat. So basically, the anabolic window that was very popular in the earlier days of fitness, it's not really there for protein because protein timing doesn't matter as much as daily protein intake, but carbohydrate timing does. So that anabolic window basically exists for carbs, not protein. So I would suggest keep most of your carbs around your workout, like pre-workout, intra-workout, or post-workout carbs, and throughout the day keep your carbohydrate intake minimal, or at least have complex carbs, not simple carbs, because simple carbs digest faster and you need to use those calories quicker when they digest, or else they're just going to be stored as fat. You can always chat GPT an entire list of simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates yourself. I'm not covering that in this video because that's way too much information. Next is going to be the biggest recovery driver, and that's good sleep. No matter how much protein you're having, no matter how much carbs you're having pre, intra, and post workout, if your sleep is not on point, you are just not gonna recover efficiently. I know this is probably like the most basic topic that you already know, and you clicked on this video to learn something more than improving your sleep, but I still need to stress on it because most of us don't do it. And this is the shit that actually matters, bro. I mean, even for me, sometimes I end up going to the bed not on regular times. That's why my recovery is hindered, or I have to do my uni work, so I'm exposed to blue light in my eyes till very close to my bedtime, which is why my sleep quality is degraded. And I'm assuming that's not only me. Many of my viewers are busy individuals or students who themselves have to do a lot of work right before bedtime, and that's basically hindering our gains. Having a lot of stress near your bedtime is also something that massively impacts our sleep quality. So even if you're getting like 7 to 8 or even 9 hours of sleep, but your sleep quality is pretty shit, your recovery is never going to be on point. So some of the things that I am currently trying to do to improve my sleep quality is basically cutting down my caffeine intake at least 5 to 6 hours before my bedtime, because as we all know, caffeine is a stimulant and a performance enhancer. It increases our heart rate, and during sleep we need our parasympathetic nervous system to be active, which is our calm down state of the body, to maximize recovery and to relax the muscles. And that's what caffeine hinders. The other thing I'm doing is I only go to my bed during my bedtime. If it's not my bedtime, I'll never touch my bed, or I'll only touch my bed if I'm gonna sleep or nap. Now, this might sound kind of basic to you, but what I really mean by saying that I only go to my bed during my bedtime is that if I'm not gonna sleep, I don't go to my bed. Because most of us, what we do is when we scroll reels or when we study or when we do anything, as a matter of fact, we many of the time just go on a bed and do it. Like if you're on your bed and scrolling reels, your brain sort of gets adapted that if you're on your bed, it's not time to sleep, but it's to scroll reels. So it will keep you awake even though it's your bedtime. You know what I mean? Because that sort of in the long term trains your brain that the bed is not a place to sleep, but to scroll reels or to study or to do something else or whatever you do. That is not what we want. We want our bed to be the place where we only sleep. That's it. So if you consistently only touch your bed when you're about to nap or sleep, that sort of trains your brain in the long term that if you're on your bed, it's time to sleep. So as soon as you touch your bed, your brain goes in shutdown mode and your parasympathetic nervous system gets activated and your muscles feel relaxed and you have a much better sleep quality. And honestly, this is a really good tip that has actually helped me, and you should try it out yourself. The next thing that has really helped me improve my sleep quality is going to bed at consistent times. Setting up your body's circadian rhythm is a real thing, and your body clock, which is a very hypothetical term, is actually real, because I feel way more recovered and way more energetic when I go to bed and wake up at the same time. And finally, I limit my screen time before bed, bro. I mean, I literally don't touch any electronic device at least 30 minutes before my bedtime. The worst thing you can do before falling asleep is be exposed to blue light that basically stimulates your brain to stay awake for longer because it thinks it's still daytime. So no screens at least 30 minutes before bedtime, or at least wear those blue light saver specs, whatever that is. And the final point is going to be to avoid doing junk volume. Junk volume is basically those sets of your workout that don't really give you as much muscular stimulus as you think they do. You guys need to understand that the amount of gains you get after adding every single set basically makes a diminishing returns curve. So for example, say you're doing chest day today. One set of chest will give you like 50% of your gains. Two sets of chest will give you like 75% of the gains. Three sets of chest will give you like 85 to 90% of your gains. Four sets of chest will probably give you just an additional 5 or 3%. But that fourth set that basically just increased your stimulus by 5%, it increases your body's demand for recovery exponentially, and it increases the chances of you not being recovered exponentially. So do you really think just going for that fourth set, which will most likely only give you about 5% of additional gains, is really worth doing it if there's a much higher chance that your body is not going to be recovered? Of course not, bro. This is literally a no-brainer. For the vast majority of y'all, most of your gains are only gonna come from the first three sets you do, given you take each set to at least 0 to 2 RIR. RIR is reps in reserve. I've discussed it in this video or here, I don't know where. Yeah. So yes, quality over quantity always. So to summarize the entire video, have enough protein, place your carbs around your workout, optimize your sleep, and don't do junk volume. You just need to start prioritizing the basic things and understand the logic behind recovery. You need to understand that you only spend like 1 or 2 hours at the gym. You spend 22 to 24 hours outside the gym. So what you do outside the gym matters more. The gym is only what tells your muscles to grow. But when you're home, having enough protein, prioritizing your carbohydrate intake, recovering good from sleep, avoiding junk volume, all these basic things that you do, that is what actually grows the muscle. If you want to learn how to lose fat effectively and stay lean forever and really dial in your diet, calories, macros according to your own personal body's needs, then I've made a full fat loss guide on this topic. That will be the first link in the description. It literally costs lesser than what you spend at McDonald's in a day, so do give it a shot. Invest in your health instead. If you found this video helpful, leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know what my next video topic should be, and I will see you in the next one.